Okay, so let's take a look at how you can plot Beeswarm plot. So for that we will be using Beeswarm package. So first thing is we open our studio and then we will go for installation of Beeswarm, right? So in our studio we will open tools and then install packages. You can also use the console with command install.packages and within double quote just type in Beeswarm. Now in case of UI option you can simply type in Beeswarm in package search and install. Right, so once this is installed, what we can do is we can draw the simple Beeswarm chart, right? So here let's go with our script. Right, now what I can do, I can call for Beeswarm, right? And let's go with some of the seed value, something like 1 2 3 4, right? Then we go for x norm 300, right? Finally Beeswarm and then pass on x, right? So let's execute this and see how our typical Beeswarm looks like. So first seed, then value of x, and we get our data. Now let's draw Beeswarm, and if I zoom in you will see that it looks something like this shape of this Beeswarm, right? You have one of the axis here. So now what if I want to change few parameters and pass on some data? So let's say first we push in plot color, set to 2, then PCH, right? So PCH value something 18 or so, and then we also add CX value. So we can execute this and we get red Beeswarm chart, right? So this looks pretty cool, and for those who are trying to do data sketches, this type of plot can be pretty cool to view as well, right? Next is horizontal inclination of this plot. So now it will be tilted, and to do that what I can do, can remove these two variables and set color to 4 and horizontal set to 2, and if I run this it should show you blue colored and the inclination tilted Beeswarm. However, this isn't filled with dots, only the dots have borders, right? So as we go further we can put in some field color and add some other data points like with the methods, right? So in that case what we can do is we can add a method to this swarm, right? So for that we will keep the color to 4, then again set PCH value 18 or 19 if you want, then we choose method. Now here we can choose swarm method, right? So methods are basically the arrangement of our data points within that particular plot, right? So in this particular swarm method it will show increasing order, right? So if I run this, it should look something like this. If I zoom this, you'll get much better view, right? Now if I choose to add different method, right? So say for symmetric swarm I can make use of center as my method, right? Rest of the things I will try and keep this same and run this, and you'll notice that it will add a squarish feel to our swarm. Also the symmetry is pretty much visible, right? So this is center method for swarm. There is also hex method, so we can just replace. In case of hex, as you can guess, the display of this particular swarm is in hexagonal grid, right? This is to place our data points that way, right? So if I run this, as you can see, this now appears in hex, and if you zoom in further, so you can view the data points in hex order, right? So this is your hex method. There is also square method we can use. So square, as you can guess, should turn our beeswarm into that squarish property, right? So if I zoom, it should show you the squarish grid for our beeswarm, right? So we have seen some of the methods, starting from swarm method, then center, then hex, and then square. We also looked at beeswarm's basic chart, then we added color. We also added horizontal plot to this existing method. So these are some of the things that we added, right? So there is one more that I missed, I suppose, which is choral methods, right? So choral methods are for adjusting the data points, a bit different than our current setup. So what I can do is I can basically change the seeds and my base data. So set dot seed, I can go for 1995, right? Then I can set the value for x r norm to say 1000, right? Also I can add one more variable, and which should contain my sample, so it should be g, and here I can add up g1, then g2, g3, right? So 3 are more than enough. I can also adjust the size, right? So 1000, right? And I can set the replace to true. So we have our value for g. Now what I can do is I can pass these things to the choral method, right? So in my case, what I can do is I can write beeswarm and then x tilde g, sorry, x tilde g, and then also set pch value to 19, right? Now we will try and add color related properties, right? So we will add RGB values, so RGB, and then we add 0.25, then 0.63. You can also take a look at help of our palettes in RGB for this, right? So once you have that, it would be easier to draw as well. 1 and then 0.75, right? Next thing would be to basically get RGB, and here 1, then 0.88, then 0.6, and then 0.75, right? So after that, what we can do is we can add one more RGB value. So I am making use of some different palettes for both G1, G2, and G3, right? So 0.97, 0.43, right? Point, sorry, 0.37, right, and 0.75. So we have like these values. So after this, what we can do is we will close our bracket for color and then Coral method. Currently we can start from none. Okay, now we will execute the final line and we get our Coral method. Currently we have set it to none, and what we can do from this point onwards is we can change some of these methods, right? So if I change this from none to, let's say, first being Coral set together or wrap, right? So if I select this and run this, it will change from none to gutter, so it won't be overlapping each other. I can also do a wrap, so WRAP wrap, and then if I select this and execute, it should wrap things up. There is also omit option and random option. So omit would limit some values as well. So if I run this, as you can see, it will omit few. Then if we go with random option and if we print it out, it will show you the respective options. Notice that each of these are representing with a specific color, as we pointed out in color RGBs, right? So what we have seen so far is we managed to plot the basic Beeswarm chart, added color, then changed the inclination vertical to horizontal. Then we added methods for swarm, being swarm method, center, hex, and square. Then we also added Coral methods, which are none, gutter, wrap, omit, and random.